Representative Dembro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Hovey, for teeing that up for me. That is, I think a really key issue. It takes us back to the question of partnerships that have already been mentioned. And Chuck, I really appreciated, I appreciated your focus on the healthcare industry because it's one that in many ways has been a model in terms of the healthcare industry stepping up and becoming partners in training programs, looking at their incumbent older workers, often minorities, first-generation college people who are just barely above poverty themselves, and giving them a pathway and ongoing support. I really think that's the model that industry in general should be emulating if we can. Mm-hmm. Obviously the word is out that healthcare is a place where there are jobs, and I know as a college teacher myself, many of my students, when I have that first sit down with them and ask them why they've decided to come back to school, they tell me they want to be nurses, or some other kind of health professional working in allied health. And particularly those who are going to go into nursing, I am outwardly very supportive and inwardly very cautious, when they talk to me, because I realize all the challenges that they have ahead of them. First of all, just the capacity challenges of, actually, I don't know if I told this story, but when I was out door knocking, it was almost exactly a year ago. I think it was probably door number 5,500 or so. And it was knocked on a woman's door. She was in her late 40s. And she told me that she had been a student at PCC and had decided to go back to school in an older age. She'd been working in retail, wanted to go into nursing, had a lot of trepidations about going back to school and being the overage dummy in the class. Needless to say, as usually happens in that case, she was the 4.0 student, did all her prerequisites, applied for the nursing program. At the time, and I think it's still true, although it may change, PCC was so under pressure in terms of the number of applicants that it uses a lottery system. And this woman was very intelligent, but she had really bad luck. And she tried, her number did not come up. She tried the next year, her number did not come up. After the fourth time, she decided to go back into retail. And you just think about the loss there, in terms of her own earning capacity for her family, for us as a society, that modest investment would be very quickly repaid to us, both in social benefit and obviously in tax benefit as well. It's it's the opposite of a success story. So that's one challenge. I mean, obviously we need to build the capacity of our programs, but also a number of students who are in that situation, they come to me for the first time. They're very deficient in math, right? And although they communicate well, they're able to do college-level writing, their math is at the 9th or 10th grade level. And they have a long road ahead of them because they have to get their math skills up in order to do the chemistry, in order to do the anatomy, et cetera. And so those are the sort of the 5-year commitment students that Chuck, you were talking about. And it really is important that we support them all along the way. And one of the key things is, and that's where, the pathways, of course, becomes a model, because the notion of just being in school for 5 years it's just untenable for people with families. So they need to think of it in terms of a pathway where they can work while they're going to school. And that leads us to the second big capacity challenge that we have, and that's being able to offer the classes that the students can take at the times they can take them. And it's very easy to get classes and fill them up during the day. But, running classes on weekends or sort of non-traditional times to deal with these non-traditional students is very difficult to do. And when the colleges are getting a lower allocation from the state, where are they going to cut? They're going to hold on to those classes where the enrollment is booming. But for those classes that are being offered at the more non-traditional times, they tend to be quite vulnerable. And that creates yet another layer of challenge for these students. So, I think we need to be looking, we often look at student support in terms of tuition and scholarships, which is critical, but we also, I think, need to be thinking of it in terms of just can the schools offer the colleges, can the schools offer the courses that the students need at the times they can take them? I guess that wasn't a question.
Okay.
We do agree with you.
Sorry.
Representative Holby.
Thank you, Representative Dimbro, for teeing me up. I just had one thing I think, well, maybe it's applicable to several. When Representative Dimbro is speaking of capacity, especially when we're talking about the nurse situation, he's right on target there. And one of the things this committee has recognized last session and again this session is especially in the nursing programs, our capacity to have educators and trainers is a huge problem. And this committee recognized last session that we have this huge resource that we really haven't got on board to fill that lack of capacity in training and education. And I think it was Providence that took that issue and when I speak of those resources, I'm talking about the experienced nurses that we have out there that are highly qualified, that are making good money, but they're at a point in their career where they suffer burnout. And I know several of them in my community working with our hospital systems that basically take steps backwards because, they just suffer burnout. And here's a huge resource that we could grab onto if we could figure out how to come up with the dollars to keep their pay up so they didn't take these huge pay cuts to become an educator. To help expand our capacity in training nurses. And I think it was Providence Hospital that had a model that was working on that. And I would hope that our other hospital systems would work with our community colleges in trying to expand that model to really step into this capacity issue. Certainly it doesn't fill the hole that we have at the state level for funding our community colleges who direly need that funding. But I think there's a potential there to help out there. So I just wanted to make that note.